Good afternoon. I'll open the Wellfleet Select Board special meeting of Wednesday, November 6, 2019 at 1 o'clock in the Wellfleet Town Hall second floor conference room. This is a special meeting to discuss, deliberate, and take appropriate action against the open meeting law complaint filed by Judah Hearn on October 22nd, 2019. Are there any comments or explanations? Would Mr. Hort like to comment first?
So I can just start this out for you. So this meeting is not on, what we discussed on the 24th, but it's in response to her open meeting law violation filing. So in researching it, the board posted a proper notice in the form of an agenda on its website on September 20th at 12:40 p.m. for a meeting which was to be held at least 48 hours later on September 24th at 7 p.m. The topics that were listed for discussion at the meeting included item 4B, discuss, deliberate, and take appropriate action to respond to the letter from the planning board. A copy of the reference letter was included in the agenda packet. So the events that led up to that September 24th discussion, on September 13th, as town administrator, I forwarded Ms. Hearn's email to Mr. Perrin and requested advice from town council in response to the same. The planning board subsequently discussed the email at its meeting on September 18th. In light of the tone threatening an assault on public officials, decided that prompt action was required. As such, on September 18th, the planning board voted unanimously to send a letter to the select board requesting that the select board address the matter appropriately. The select board received the letter from the planning board, included it as a topic of discussion on its meeting notice for the September 24th meeting. The board is under no obligation under open meeting law to notify a resident when the board will discuss in open session an email that the resident sent to the board. The town administrator and town council are not public bodies subject to the open meeting law. The remedies requested by the complainant, an apology, discipline of the TA, replacement of counsel, or education of the importance of the First Amendment, are not appropriate remedies under the open meeting law. So I would ask, after discussion, that the select board make the following motion: to authorize town council to submit a response on its behalf to the open meeting law complaint received from Judah Hearn on October 25th, 2019, and designate Chair Janet Reinhardt to act as liaison with town council to review and approve the response.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions regarding this?
Quite a few. I just want to be sure about something here. It's not in here. My memory is that the letter referred to in number 1 here that you read was not a letter from Ms. Hearn to Mr. Parent. It was a letter to the select board about...
That is correct.
Yeah. So it wasn't to Mr. Parent. It was about Mr. Parent's application to be on the Cape Cod Commission. Right.
Okay, yeah.
So, just to clarify that. Okay, I'm going to be careful how I say this. I think I figured out the source of the problem here for us. In other words, in the open meeting law itself, the text of the open meeting law, not the guidelines, it says, the chair, you post on the agenda anything the chair reasonably has an idea will be discussed. And that's all it says. It says, now it shall be printed in legible, easily understandable format, and shall contain the date, time, blah, 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 and a listing of topics that the chair reasonably anticipates. We know this. However, I think there's something that is not in the open meeting law, so we were compliant with the open meeting law, but it is in the guidelines, and it's quite reasonable. And in the guidelines, it says, hold on a minute, I'm sorry. Yeah, okay. Here we go. It says that we're supposed to have the list of topics in the agenda must be sufficiently specific to reasonably inform the public of the issues to be discussed at the meeting. Now, arguably, we did that. But because we did not specifically reference Ms. Ahern's letter, right, and put her name in there, arguably, it could have been a little more specific. So, in other words, the letter of the law, the open meeting law, we complied with. And I'm just putting that out there because never mind this issue, we as a board diligently try to comply with the open meeting law. Okay?
Yeah.
So, you know, we should just remember that in the future. And in fact, for this meeting, it was very specifically put in our posting that it was about Ms. Ahern's letter, complaint. And we used her name, right? And she will be able to watch this on a video if she chooses to. So there's that. That's the first thing I wanted to say. And maybe the others of us do. But with no disrespect to Janet as the chair, I think this is an important issue. And so I would like for all of us to be able to confer with town council, either, you know, in response to a memorandum from town council to
Time
review.
does
and
not permit that.
It doesn't?
No. Open meeting law violation complaints have to be responded to within 14 business days.
So,
Excuse me, within 14 days of when the complaint, which means we have to respond on Friday.
oh. So, okay. I just hope that every detail of it can go on our next agenda with the chair giving, you know, you guys give a report so that it's in an open
Yeah,
meeting.
we'll
Yeah.
write down what we're going to say or how
Yeah.
we respond.
I
and-
trust you
yeah.
to do this. It's just we need it all to be very much on the table. So
Yeah,
can
I
that,
think we both know that.
I would feel secure about this if it then was a definite agenda item for our next meeting, if that's okay. So that we know what town council said, we know what, you know, you guys
Yeah,
took
yeah,
in. Okay?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Another agenda item. I feel that what she requested, this is the last thing I want to say. So, the entire select board publicly apologized and retract all their statements about me spoken at their select board meeting. Now, the three of us have all read the transcript she did, and by the way, I listened to the whole thing while reading her transcript, and she did a good job, okay? In other words, it's a good transcript. There were a couple of ats or these that she left out, and there was one phrase about documenting things that the chair said, but otherwise, it's a perfect transcript. And when I reread it and listened to the tone in which it was delivered, right, on the video, I don't find anything horrible in there. I heard us carefully and reasonably discussing the situation, and this was like the straw on the camel's back for us. That's what I heard. And I was impressed by the care with which the five of us discussed this. You know? And I have to say, I particularly appreciated the chair's comment about how you don't assault an ice cream cone. I just love that. It made me laugh and it made me happy for some reason because that nailed it in a very gentle, appropriate way.
So I just want to clarify because you said, whose transcript are you
Judah
saying?
Hearn's transcript.
This one,
No, this is included here.
that one.
Yeah, and we got it earlier, I believe.
Okay.
I had it at home, and I'm going to repeat again then what I just said.
I'm just seeing all this for the first time.
Yeah. So this,
This
so
was not in my
this,
box
so this
this
is,
morning. I
this
haven't
is,
seen any of this.
Oh, I got it earlier for some reason, but
It was
here's...
emailed to the board when it first came in. Courtney emailed it.
so I just want,
Yes.
so this is something Judah Hearn transcribed.
However, what I just
No,
told...
just answer, that's what I
Yes.
want to know, okay.
But it's, what I'm saying is, looking at the text of it and listening to the video
Yeah.
at the same time, it's a perfect transcript. Okay?
Great.
In other words, except for what I just mentioned.
So is that relevant to the
Yeah.
response to the open meeting law violation?
Yes, in my opinion it is, because of what I then said afterwards, which is, in my opinion, and maybe we can have a moment where we fall silent and the two of you who haven't had a chance to read it can reread it. Because I feel that nobody said anything horrible.
No,
Which
we
isn't
didn't.
relevant
Yeah.
to the open
We're
meeting law.
just talking.
It's in her, it's in her,
It's in her supporting
Complaint.
documentations, but it's not part of the open meeting law.
you're right about that, thank you. Right, yeah, got it. So, I think.
So really, the purpose of this meeting is to just decide if we want to respond and how we want to respond to the open meeting law complaint,
Well,
right? Is that the
Yes.
succinct way of saying it?
I think that.
That's all we're doing here today.
Okay, so vis-à-vis that, thank you for listening to the rest of it, because it's in the context.
That's all good, yep.
What I said first is, in the letter of the open meeting law, it's just, does the chair have a, reasonably that this was gonna be on there, right? And it was in our packet, and the packet was online, but it says very specifically in the guidelines what I just read to you, not in the open meeting law. So I think we should put that out there to the AG and say, here's what we did. And in compliance with the letter of the law in the open meeting law, we thought we were okay, but in fact, if you read the guidelines, which some of us did a long time ago, arguably, not certainly, we might have been more specific in referencing which letter from the planning board we were going to discuss.
So I hear what you're saying, and I understand that, but I don't think, I suppose it's a gray area of how you interpret it and how you bring it before the board. I don't think we erred illegally in our agenda item.
I agree with that.
Okay,
However,
so-
the AG will say, well, in the guidelines, it was arguably not as
Will
clearly
the
identified.
AG say that?
I think we should step up to the plate
Well, we're
and
going
admit
to.
it.
We're going
And admit
to.
it. We shouldn't
Yeah.
just say we have no fault. But it is the only letter we've gotten from the planning board.
Well,
And-
that's
Yeah.
besides the point too.
In other words, no, well, there would be no confusion given that it was in the packet, but
Oh, okay.
it does very specifically address the agenda in what I just read in the guidelines.
Yeah.
It's not talking about the
So would
packet.
you be happy with the wordings of, we could have been more specific in the description of the agenda item? But the letter was
And
included.
refer to the guidelines.
What do you mean, and refer to the guidelines?
And say, according to the guidelines, we should have been more specific. According to the letter of the law, in the actual law, we complied. And, you see, there's no bad faith here. That's what, yeah, in other words, we're really, in my opinion, making an effort, all five of us with this, and we're helping each other. And this was something that I didn't catch it, none of us caught it in the agenda, and it won't happen again. And proof of that is the posting for today's meeting. No, Dan? In other words, we've cited Judah Hearn communication with us, and we've been specific about it in this posting, and now we all know, because of what I just said to you, we can all go home and reread the guidelines, but it's on page 7. We all got this.
To my red book. May I, Jen?
Yes.
I was not at this particular select board meeting. I believe that was the week of my vacation. I have gone over the tape and I've gone over the transcript, And I pretty much agree with Helen's assessment at that particular meeting with regard to the word assault. I felt the same way when I saw the letter. So I was a little taken aback that, somebody would think that this was, meant to do serious harm. Having said that, I'm in the same opinion with Helen. While we followed the letter of the law in open meeting law in section 4/B, discuss, deliberate, and take appropriate action to respond to a letter from the planning board. I too have read the guidelines, and the guidelines suggest, these are guidelines, that when they involve a specific individual, that should be, that attention to detail should also be in the agenda item. I feel she should have had the opportunity to have attended that select board meeting. That's my thought on that.
Okay, well, I think we're in agreement. So if we, as Dan and I will get this letter written maybe this afternoon, and we will say that we feel we followed the law, but we would, we are maybe, I don't know what the word is, I'll think of the word later, that we could have been more descriptive, or we could have listed her name in, and the letter, from the planning board.
And as Helen said, refer to the guidelines.
Refer to the guidelines,
Yeah, refer to the guidelines, and,
Okay.
and you can lift the section, and I'm very fond of doing that, so they know.
Lift, oh, yeah,
In other
I
words-
know what you mean, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Copy
on
it.
page, yeah, it's.
Yeah, I know.
So in other words,
I
that
know.
way, they will, I've just read it, and
Mm-hmm.
so they'll know what we looked at. And also, please reference the fact that this meeting was posted, and she was fully aware that this meeting was going to be about this. And we have emails that let us know that she is aware of it. And I would definitely include a transcript of, our deliberation made by her in this letter, because it gives some sense that we didn't, to use a slang term, trash anybody. Okay, I think that the transcript, again, make sure it's noted that she made it,
Yeah,
and that it has been checked as being accurate.
okay.
Um, and that we're videoing this. In other words, we're trying to be really transparent about this, and I do hope that it will be discussed on our next agenda.
Okay.
That we'll have a passing, so
That
we'll
we
get a
will have heard-
report from
we
you
will have
about
heard
it
from-
in
From
public.
the Attorney General office, okay. So, with that, are there any other further comments? Okay, so would anyone like to make the motion to authorize town council to submit a response? Anybody want to read that?
I move to authorize town council to submit a response on our behalf to the open meeting law.
It's town council's behalf.
No, it's on the board's behalf.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
The town,
on
okay.
our behalf, on the select board's
Board's
behalf,
Yeah,
to the open meeting law complaint received from Judah Hearn on October 25th, 2019. And I'm going to insert some words here regarding the select board meeting of, what's the date of it?
September 24th.
September 24th, 2019. And to designate Chair Janet Reinhardt to act as liaison with town council to review and approve the response.
is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
And
Thank you.
Dan, I saw you writing, so I'm hoping, can we go over the list of things to include just so that we all hear it here and it's, because we were sort of paying out some stuff. In other words,
You want to make sure we're going to write what you want us to write.
or that what was brought up and nobody said that's a bad idea.
Right.
Okay,
So
we're
yeah.
thinking together about
We're
this.
going to include the guideline in the
So-
open meeting law.
Reference to
Cite
that
it.
section of the guidelines, reference to the fact that we did comply with the letter of the law. Third thing is refer to the fact that the letter from the planning board and I believe the letter to the select board about our possible appointment were included in our packet, okay? And a fourth thing, the transcript made by the person who's
Right.
complaining to be attached to this.
Is correct.
Yes, and that it's correct. And that's, how many things? 4 things?
4.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
adequate.
yeah.
Good. Okay.
I move to adjourn.
Is there a second? I'll second it. All in favor? Thank you.
Thank you.